Czechoslovakia. The Czechoslovakia national team was once a powerhouse in international football, representing the united regions of today's Czech Republic and Slovakia. From 1919 to 1993, this team left a lasting legacy, achieving incredible success before the nation itself ceased to exist. The journey began after World War I, when the team made its debut at the 1919 Inter-Allied Games in Paris, a tournament held to celebrate the Allied victory. Although the matches weren't officially recognised by FIFA, Czechoslovakia dominated, topped their group and defeated the host nation France in the final. This victory marked the beginning of their rise on the international stage. In 1934, Czechoslovakia entered their first FIFA World Cup, and they didn't just participate, they shocked the world. Against all odds, they reached the final. The showdown with the host nation Italy went into extra time, where they narrowly lost, securing a remarkable second-place finish. However, the team's biggest triumph came during the 1976 UEFA European Championship, where Czechoslovakia stunned everyone by winning the tournament. Over their 74-year history, they qualified for 8 World Cups and 3 European Championships, achieving second place in 1934 and 1962, and winning the European Championship in 1976. But in 1993, everything changed. Czechoslovakia peacefully split into 2 independent nations, the Czech Republic and Slovakia, and each country went on to form its own national team. East Germany. A few years after World War II, and long before the fall of the Berlin Wall, modern-day Germany was split into East Germany and West Germany. The East German national football team, recognised by FIFA as Germany DR, represented East Germany in men's international football. It was one of 3 post-war German teams, alongside Saarland and West Germany. East Germany played its first international match in 1952, a friendly against Poland. From there, the team competed on the international stage, but with limited success. Remarkably, East Germany only qualified for one major tournament in its history, the 1974 FIFA World Cup. Despite this, the team's success was often a strong contender in qualifying campaigns, and found significant success in Olympic football, where they won gold at the 1976 Montreal Games, silver at the 1980 Moscow Games, and bronze at both the 1964 Tokyo and 1972 Munich Games. One of East Germany's most notable achievements was their victory in the only professional match they played against West Germany. The game took place in Hamburg during the 1974 World Cup, with Jürgen Sparwasser scoring the decisive 77th minute goal to secure a historic win for East Germany. However, just over a year after the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, East and West Germany reunified in 1990, forming the unified German national football team we know today. Ireland, IFA. The Ireland national football team of the Irish Football Association was one of the earliest international football teams, representing the entire island of Ireland from 1882. Their first match was a tough debut, losing 13-0 to England in a friendly played in Belfast. A record win for England and the heaviest defeat for any Ireland team to this day. It wasn't until 5 years later, in 1887, that the team earned its first victory, defeating Wales 4-1. In its early years, their greatest successes came in the British Home Championship, winning the tournament in 1902-03 and 1913-14 seasons. During this period, their matches were mostly against England, Scotland and Wales, either in the British Home Championship or in friendlies. By the end of World War II, the team hosted its first World Cup qualifier in 1949, facing Scotland in Belfast. Unfortunately, the match ended in a heavy 2-8 defeat, and they missed out on qualifying for the 1950 World Cup. However, by 1950, the team underwent significant changes. After the partition of Ireland in 1921, the Football Association of Ireland was formed to govern football in the Republic of Ireland. This led to the existence of 2 separate governing bodies, the IFA in Northern Ireland and the FAI in the Republic. FIFA officially recognised the FAI in 1950, marking a clear division. From that point, the IFA team became known as Northern Ireland, the name it still holds today. Malaya. The Malaya national football team represented the Federation of Malaya, a former British colony, during its brief existence from 1948 to 1963, and the team played its first international match on the 20th of June 1948, losing 4-2 to Singapore. Despite this early start, the team never participated in any FIFA World Cup or Olympic tournaments. Instead, it focused on regional competitions like the Asian Games and the Merdeka football tournament. The Merdeka tournament, an international friendly competition held in Malaysia to celebrate Independence Day, became a key stage for the team. Malaya achieved a notable victory in the tournament's second edition of 1958, winning the Merdeka Cup. That same year, they made their debut in the Asian Games, but were eliminated in the group stage. By the 1962 Asian Games, the team showed significant improvement, earning a third-place finish. In 1963, just a few years after gaining independence, the Malaya national team was disbanded. It was replaced by the Malaysia national football team, marking the start of a new era for the country's footballing history. Russian Empire. Long before the Soviet Union or modern-day Russia, the Russian Empire had its own national football team, representing the empire in its early forays into international football. The team played its first unofficial match in October 1910, securing a 5-4 victory against the Bohemian national team, but its first official international match came 2 years later at the 1912 Summer Olympics in Stockholm, where they lost 2-1 to Finland, which was part of the Russian Empire but competed independently. Between October 1910 and July 1914, the Russian Empire national team played a total of 16 matches, 8 official and 8 unofficial. However, their development was cut short by the outbreak of World War I in 1914. The war had devastating consequences, with many players losing their lives and others fleeing the country following the 1917 October Revolution. After the war, the Russian Empire national team ceased to exist, replaced by the Soviet Union national football team, which is officially recognized as its successor. Soviet Union. Once a footballing powerhouse, the Soviet Union was a dominant force in international football from its inception. The Soviet national team was established a few years after World War I and played its first officially recognized match in 1924. While the team played several international matches in its early years, it wasn't until the 1952 Olympics that the Soviets entered the first competitive tournament. They made their FIFA World Cup debut in 1958, reaching the quarter-finals, before being eliminated by the host Sweden. From then on, the Soviet Union became a regular at the World Cup, appearing in 6 more tournaments and only missing out twice. Despite being a consistent presence, the team never managed to win the World Cup or even reach the final, which was surprising given the wealth of talent they had, including legends like Lev Yashin and Ola Blokhin. Their best World Cup performance came in 1966, finishing 4th after a narrow 2-1 loss to West Germany in the semi-finals. Although the Soviets fell short on the World Cup stage, they found great success elsewhere. The team won gold medals in 1956 and 1988 at the Olympics, and made history by winning the inaugural European Championship in 1960, the pinnacle of Soviet footballing achievements. The Soviet Union played its final major tournament at the 1990 FIFA World Cup. Following the country's dissolution in 1991, the national team was split into multiple new teams. Russia inherited the Soviet Union's footballing legacy, while other nations formed their own teams, marking the end of an era in football history. Yugoslavia. Similar to the Soviet Union, Yugoslavia was once a football powerhouse that was ultimately fragmented due to political upheaval. The Yugoslavian national team began its journey at the 1920 Summer Olympics in Antwerp, where they faced Czechoslovakia and suffered a heavy 7-0 defeat. However, this early setback marked just the beginning of a successful footballing legacy. A few years later, Yugoslavia made their World Cup debut at the 1930 tournament in Uruguay, where they achieved a historic 2-1 victory over Brazil in their first ever match, eventually finishing in 4th place. World War II disrupted the country's football scene, but after the war, the Yugoslavia Football Federation was re-established, and the team won a silver medal at the 1948 Summer Olympics, and repeated the feat in 1952. By 1954, Yugoslavia became a founding member of UEFA and reached the final of the first European Championship in 1960, losing to the Soviet Union. The 1960s marked the golden era of Yugoslav football. The team earned the nickname the Brazilians of Europe for their skillful attacking play. They won the 1960 Olympic gold medal and reached the semi-finals of the 1962 World Cup. The period produced some of the nation's finest players, including Milan Galic and Dragan Jazic, both of whom were products of the 1960s and 70s team. However, the breakup of Yugoslavia in the 1990s led to the end of the national team and the formation of several new countries, including Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia and Montenegro, and Macedonia. Serbia and Montenegro. The Serbia and Montenegro national football team was formed under the dissolution of Yugoslavia and represented the state union of Serbia and Montenegro. For 11 years following the breakup of Yugoslavia, the team was known as the FR Yugoslavia national football team, reflecting the country's name as the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. In 2003, the country's name changed, and the team became known as the Serbia and Montenegro national football team. Although the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia was established in 1992, it was initially banned from participating in international sporting events due to UN sanctions. However, by 1994, the team played its first match as a new country, suffering a friendly defeat to Brazil. By 1998, the team had qualified for its first ever FIFA World Cup, and in 2000, it also participated in the UEFA European Championship. Despite failing to qualify for the 2002 FIFA World Cup, Serbia and Montenegro made it to the 2006 World Cup, which would be their last international tournament. Following the 2006 World Cup, both Serbia and Montenegro formed their own independent national teams, after Montenegro declared its independence from Serbia. Mandatory Palestine. The Mandatory Palestine national football team represented the British Mandate of Palestine, which lasted from 1920 to 1948. Although it was founded in 1928 and, according to FIFA rules, was supposed to represent all of Palestine's population, the team was largely dominated by Jewish players, despite Palestinian Arabs being the majority of the population. The team played its first officially recognised international match in 1934, during a World Cup qualifying match, which ended in a 7-1 loss to Egypt. Over the course of its existence, the team played just 5 international matches, including 2 World Cup qualifiers for the 1934 tournament, 2 qualifiers for the 1938 World Cup, and a 5-1 friendly win over Lebanon in 1940. However, with the outbreak of World War II, no further matches were played. When the British Mandate ended in 1948 and Israel gained independence, the Mandatory Palestine national football team effectively became the national team of Israel. Curacao. The Curacao national football team was the official team representing the territory of Curacao, established in 1921 under the control of the Curaçaoese Football Bond. In 1926, the team participated in its first international tournament, and by 1932, CVB became affiliated with FIFA. Over the years, Curacao continued to compete in international football with its golden years in the 1940s. During this time, the team performed well in the CCCF Championship and the Central American and Caribbean Games, even winning a gold medal in 1950. Despite these successes, the team never qualified for a World Cup, participating only in the 1958 qualifiers. The team also competed in the 1952 Olympics. In 1958, the establishment of the Netherlands Antilles Football Union led to the dissolution of the Curacao national football team, as the territory's football governance was reorganised. Netherlands Antilles. The Netherlands Antilles national football team represented the former Netherlands Antilles, a group of islands in the Caribbean. Although its name might suggest a connection to Europe, the team was based in the Caribbean and was part of CONCACAF, the governing body for football in North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. The team played its first international match in 1948 against Panama, winning 3-1. Over the years, the team participated in various regional tournaments, including the CFU Championship, Caribbean Cup, CONCACAF Gold Cup, and FIFA World Cup qualifiers. However, despite multiple attempts, they never qualified for a World Cup. Notably, the team achieved third-place finishes in both the 1963 and 1969 CONCACAF Gold Cups. But after a sixth-place finish in 1973, the team struggled to qualify again, and in a few instances did not even enter the competition. Eventually, the national team was dissolved following the political dissolution of the country in 2010, leading to the formation of two new countries, Curacao and Saint Martin. Saarland. The Saarland national football team represented the Saar Protectorate in international football starting in 1950, when it became part of FIFA. The team was primarily made up of players from FC Saarbrücken and other local German clubs in the region. During its existence, the team played 19 matches, mostly against amateur sides or B teams, but it did get the chance to compete in the 1954 World Cup qualifiers. Although Saarland did not qualify for the World Cup, it achieved its only victory against a full senior team when it defeated Norway during the qualifiers. However, in 1955, after a referendum, Saarland became part of the Federal Republic of Germany, effective 1st of January 1957, which led to the dissolution of Saarland as a national football team. South Vietnam. The South Vietnam national football team represented the state of Vietnam before 1955 and then South Vietnam after the division of the country. The team made its debut in 1947, initially representing the entire nation, but after the country split, it became the representative of South Vietnam. The team never participated in a World Cup, with its only attempt at qualification being for the 1974 competition, which they failed to reach. However, South Vietnam achieved notable success in regional competitions, including back-to-back fourth-place finishes at the 1956 and 1960 AFC Asian Cup. The team also secured a fourth-placed finish at the 1962 Asian Games, but struggled to advance beyond the preliminary rounds in the 1966 and 1970 editions. South Vietnam played its final matches during the 1976 AFC Asian Cup qualifying in 1975. After the end of the Vietnam War, the team ceased to exist, leading to the formation of the Unified Vietnam national football team. South Yemen. The South Yemen national football team represented South Yemen in men's international football. The team made its debut in 1965 at the Pan-Arab Games, where it played its first match as Aden Colony, a British colony at the time, and lost to Palestine. After gaining independence, South Yemen continued to develop its football scene with the team's first major tournament coming in 1976, when it competed in the AFC Asian Cup, but was eliminated in the group stage, marking its only participation in the competition. South Yemen also entered the qualification rounds of the 1986 World Cup in Mexico, but did not advance to the tournament. From then on, the team's international participation was mostly limited to the Pan-Arab Games and the Palestine Cup of Nations. Following the unification of Yemen in 1990, the South Yemen national football team was dissolved, and its players became part of the newly formed Yemen national football team. Unified Korea U20. The Korean national under-20 football team, also known as the Korean Unified Football Team, was a unique team that represented both South Korea and North Korea in international youth football, and its only participation in a FIFA-sanctioned tournament came at the 1991 FIFA World Youth Championship. The team was a mix of 10 South Korean players and 8 North Korean players, and it was managed by a North Korean coach. Despite the political tensions between the two Koreas, the team managed to advance beyond the group stage of the tournament. However, they were eliminated in the quarter-finals after defeat to Brazil. Following this, the team were dissolved, marking the end of this brief but notable chapter in football history.